What's going on, my little Vikingers? I'm Relaxed Gamer here, and welcome back to another reaction video. This time, we're gonna be watching a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament. Somebody punched a tournament judge? Can you even do that? I don't even think you could do that. I think fighting in any form of sense at any form of tournament is grounds for immediate disqualification. Anyway, we're about to find that out, but first, a word from our sponsor, and our sponsor is me. I'm our sponsor, my merch store. Go check it out. Link in the description below. I also have a Discord and a Twitch. As a matter of fact, by the time you're watching this, I will likely still be live on Twitch. We're playing 7 Days to Die. Come hang out and have fun with us. Without any further ado, we're gonna watch somebody punch a Yu-Gi-Oh! Judge at a tournament because I know nothing of this game and I just saw this title and I'm like, this has got to be funny. I know nothing. I really know nothing of this game other than, you know, the little bits and bobs that my friends are teaching me at this current moment. And the deck that I run is very meta. It is the 3 times Blue Eyes White Destiny deck that I am also making at least some alterations to. Maybe? I'm not entirely sure. I know I put like a second Indigo Eyes in my extra deck because I always end up finding myself with still 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons on the field, even after XYZ summoning my Indigo. And if anyone doesn't know what Indigo Eyes does, it allows me to negate. It allows me to negate all monster effects that my opponent controls, and it also allows me to discharge material, one of the Blue Eyes, because you need 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons specifically to XYZ summon. So it allows me to discharge one of my material XYZ summon material to the graveyard, then pull a monster out from the graveyard for an extra 1,000 attack points. Which obviously you would bring back the Blue Eyes, you know, because 4,000 attack points and for the Indigo, and then another 4,000 attack points for the Blue Eyes just makes sense, right? So, I mean, to me, it just makes sense. But anyway, enough of that rambling. You guys didn't come here for all that and me to listen to me like attempt to show you what I know of this. We're just gonna listen and we're just gonna watch this. So
The year was 2019. Naruto was spotted at Area.
alright, hold on. First off, we can't just start off with that. Now, come on.
51.
We're starting off with someone Naruto running at Area 50. Okay. We're starting off with that. Okay.
Gamer girls started selling their bathwater.
Oh, fuck's
People
sake.
were encouraged to toss coins at witches. And the hero of today's tale, Makoto, was about to attend a local Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament. Now, the end of 2019 was a bit of a weird time for Yu-Gi-Oh!, as this period was marking the final days of one of Yu-Gi-Oh!'s most beloved formats, TOS. Thunder Dragon, Orcust, Sky Striker, and Salad, with a ban list hitting in October that took away some of their key cards. And this tournament was happening very shortly after that list dropped, meaning it was kind of up in the air as to what the current best deck was. For Makoto, this just meant a new format, and therefore a new environment to try out his pet deck. Necros, which, thanks to another ban list update earlier that year, which freed one of its core cards, was now in a much stronger state, and he was very eager to test it out. Our story takes place during the final round of this event, as after a very successful day of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Makoto surprisingly found himself at a scoreline of 3-0, and was looking to go undefeated on the day. Makoto walked over to his assigned table and took a seat, before setting up his playmat whilst he waited for his opponent to arrive. Not so long after, a man roughly in his early 30s approached the table, before taking a seat across from him. Now, the reason I'm pointing out his age was Makoto was only 16, which makes how this story ends, and this 30-year-old guy's behaviour, just that more bizarre. After exchanging some not-so-pleasant pleasantries, Makoto and his opponent picked up some dice and rolled to see who would go first. Unfortunately, Makoto rolled low, meaning he was to go second, and so the duel began. His opponent was on Dragon Link, an archetype which, as you might have guessed, is based around a bunch of dragons, whose main synergy is, well, they're a bunch of dragons. Typically, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is more of an archetype based game now, and just being the same type doesn't necessarily mean having good synergy, but this is one of the few archetypes that is literally just a pile of the best dragon cards stuffed together, with the end goal of the deck being to summon as many of the biggest and most powerful dragon monsters available, in hopes that your opponent just simply won't be able to crack through the field. Which is exactly what occurred in Game 1, with Makoto starting his first turn by staring down a field of practically unbeatable dragon monsters, with multiple negates and removal effects. So he decided it probably wasn't worth the effort and moved on to Game 2. Game 2 was the polar opposite of Game 1, with Makoto taking a look at his opening hand. Vanity's Ruler and Unicorn. This wasn't going to be a fun time for his opponent. Vanity's Ruler is a monster that when on the field, prevents all special summoning, which is basically all Dragon Link tries to do, and Unicorn negates the effects of all special summon monsters from the extra deck, which is basically where all of his opponent's big dragons come from. So after doing a few combos, he ended on both monsters and passed the turn. It was very clear at this point that his opponent was not happy with what Makoto had summoned, as he spent the next few minutes just huffing and puffing, and not so conspicuously, throwing curses under his breath, before finally admitting he just couldn't find an out, and therefore moving on to Game 3. Game 3 begun in a very similar fashion to Game 1. His opponent had opened an absolute god hand and proceeded to once again set up a practically unbeatable board state of multiple negates and removals, and with a very smug look on his face, he passed the turn back over to Makoto. Makoto was sweating. He checked his hand for the 100th time. He'd already had plenty of time to weigh up his options during the previous turn, whilst he'd watched his opponent basically playing solitaire, and unfortunately, he knew he had no options. He slowly moved his head to look at his deck. He still had his draw for turn. Maybe if he just top-decked... yeah, he couldn't think of anything. He reached over and drew his card. Super Polymerization. For those of you that don't know what this card does, basically allows you to discard a card to perform a fusion summon by using cards on either player's field as material. And what makes this effect even more broken is it cannot be responded to, meaning your opponent can't negate it. Now the downside of this card is in order for it to be used as removal, your extra deck has to have fusion monsters, and those fusion monsters have to match the materials that your opponent might be running. If your opponent isn't playing any monsters that can be used as material, it's just a completely dead card. The two fusion monsters Makoto ran were Mud Dragon of the Swamp and Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, with only Starving Venom being summonable here, as it required two dark monsters, to which his opponent had an abundance of. Unfortunately though, he knew that after removing those two monsters, it wouldn't really change anything, as he would still have to play through 3 or more forms of disruption, and considering Super Poly requires a discard, he will be down 2 cards already. Odds are, even if he did manage to break the field, he wouldn't be able to set much up to avoid the clapback on the following turn. Makoto reached over and picked up his extra deck and reluctantly began sifting through it, looking for his Starving Venom. But as soon as he took the Starving Venom out of the deck, it revealed the card below it, and he stopped for a moment. He was currently staring at another fusion monster, a card he'd completely forgotten about. You see, Necros is an interesting ritual spell. A ritual spell that allows you to ritual summon by using your extra deck monsters as tribute, rather than your hand or field like normal. This meant in order to get the most use out of the card, Makoto had to run a random level 12 monster in the extra deck for his ritual summons. It didn't matter what monster it was, it just had to be something level 12 in order to get the most value out of his ritual spell. But Makoto's choice of monster just happened to be a fusion monster. A fusion monster that requires a very specific set of materials you typically would never see in a Yu-Gi-Oh match. Makoto looked over at his opponent's field and began counting. 1, 2, 3, 4... Oh my god, this was going to work. Makoto declared the activation of Super Polymerization. His opponent looked at the card, then rose his head and with a slightly agitated look, asked, "Alright, which of my monsters are you planning to fuse?" Makoto looked his opponent dead in the eye before responding, "All of them," before slamming Five-Headed Dragon onto the field. He watched his opponent's expression drop to match his jaw that looked like it was about to hit the floor. Five-Headed Dragon is a fusion monster that requires 5 dragon-type monsters in order to summon it, which just happened to be the exact amount of monsters on his opponent's field. His opponent's gaze of astonishment quickly changed to one of rage as he got up from his chair and yelled, "Who the actual fuck plays that as a super poly target?" Before going on a massive screeching ramble about how lucky Makoto was that he'd messed up his combo on the previous turn and left an extra dragon on the field that normally wouldn't be there, before calling Makoto a whole bunch of names that I can't repeat if I want to keep this video monetized. After hearing all the commotion, of course, the judge of the event quickly rushed on over to the table. "Dude, calm down. If you don't settle down, I'm going to have to kick you." Before the judge could even finish his sentence, his opponent had done a full 180 and immediately socked the judge right in the nose, while screaming, "And fuck you too." Now after hitting the judge, it must have hit him what he'd just done, as he just immediately picked up his cards and belted it out of the store, not even bothering to pick up his playmat. After the event concluded, the store owner contacted the police and the judge pressed charges. Whether or not anything came from that, Makoto doesn't know, as he never heard about or came across the guy again. But since the guy never came back, Makoto did end up getting to keep the playmat the guy left behind, which he's kept to this very day and sent me a picture of to show in the video. And that is going to mark the end of today's tale. Thank you so much, Makoto.
Okay. So, like I said, I don't know anything at all of
For sharing your story in the
Yu-Gi-Oh. It's not something I'm acutely aware of, but I do know punching a judge is a bad no-no. Very bad no-no. But let's just start off with how strong he started this.
The year was 2019.
This is
Naruto
strong.
was spotted at Area 51. Gamer girls started selling their bathwater.
The Bell Fiend bathwater. Do you want to buy me Bell Fiend bathwater? Bro, okay. I'm not going to touch too much on this topic here.
Naruto was spotted.
Because I think everybody who's smart enough to know this was a very bad idea. The military at Area 51 have a right to kill. They do not need to give you warnings. They could just straight up kill you. So everyone who went there is lucky if they manage to walk out alive is lucky to walk out alive. I don't know much about this whole topic. That's why I said I'm not going to touch too much on it, because I don't know too much on this topic. All I heard was a bunch of fucking morons going to Area 51 to die. That's all I knew. And then where's my mouse? Right there. And then this
To
one.
Area 51. Gamer girls started selling
Your Belbelfi and Bathwater, yeah? I I just wanted to say that one for this. Your Belbelfi and Bathwater. I had to. I'm sorry. Like it's straight up freaking hilarious. But anyway, as I digress, we're gonna come over to, like, I think it was either here or somewhere down here. Okay, so I think it was like right here.
set of materials you typically would never see in a Yu-Gi-Oh match. Makoto looked over at his opponent's field and began counting.
Yeah, it's right here.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my god, this was going to work.
That face. Before I get into what I'm about to say, that face though, that's horrifying. So typically in a game of Yu-Gi-Oh, it is a strategy-based game. From what I am understanding, it is a strategy-based game where you got to dwindle your opponent's life points from 8,000 to 0, or get them to submit. And in which case, that's exactly what this kid did. Actually, did for three consecutive rounds. For like 3 consecutive rounds, I can like 3-0. Damn, this kid fucking rocks it, bro.
Makoto declared the activation of Super Polymerization.
Which I've had this card used on me before, and because I'm a noob at the game, I didn't know at all what it was used for, like how it was even used. So when my friend used it and used 2 of my monsters to fusion summon a monster over to his side of the field, I immediately said, "You can't do that. How the fuck?" And then he said, "With super polymerization, you can." He gave me the card. I read it, and I shut up afterwards. I shut up afterwards. Like I don't know, man. You know what I mean? I'm learning. I'm still learning.
His opponent looked at the card, then rose his head and with a slightly agitated look asked, "Alright, which of my monsters are you planning to fuse?" Makoto looked his opponent dead in the eye before responding,
"This dude, Artemis, is probably one of my favorite too.
Fuck
That
you,
crowbar
YouTube!
with the
Come
sniper
on!
is wicked."
all of them, before slamming 5-headed dragon onto the... Alright, which of my monsters are you planning to fuse? Makoto looked his opponent dead in the eye before responding, all of them, before slamming 5-headed dragon onto the field. He watched his opponent's expression drop to match his jaw that looked like it was about to hit the floor. 5-headed dragon is a fusion monster.
So I've never heard of this card, 5-headed dragon. I've never heard of this card, but given that his opponent freaked the fuck out, he pretty much put a kink in his opponent's plans. Now, because it's 5 heads, does it mean it gets 5 turns to attack? I'm not entirely sure. I'm gonna have to look this card up. Must be fusion summon, cannot be destroyed by battle with a dark earth, water, fire, or wind monster. Oh my. So the only way you could destroy 5-headed dragon would be with a light monster? That's disturbing. No, it doesn't. It doesn't say it can attack 5 times, but I'm still genuinely curious. So let me rewind a bit because my my deck that I run, the 5 times deck, not 5 times. I'm sorry, the 3 times White Destiny deck, has has heretic seal of heavenly spears, and yes, it is a it does count as a dragon type monster. Um, and basically, what that allows you to do is you discard a card, and you could select a card for your opponent to put back in their hand. In which case, if I discarded a card and selected Red Hot Dragon Archfiend Abyss, that would go back into the extra deck, and all the other everything else. Like if it was an XYZ monster, for example, then the fusion material, that's what I was looking for. Then the material would go to my hand because I sent the XYZ monster to back to where it originated from. And then, but that's a synchro card, so there would be no worries about that. Just pick up the card, throw it back in your extra deck, and go about your merry way. But I could see where his opponent got mad. I really well and truly can, because Heretic Seal of Heavenly Spheres is a really good card to have on the field. You can disrupt literally anything your opponent can do by discarding a card and choosing the card. Literally, sending that card back to your opponent's hand. Literally disrupting anything your opponent can do. That is one of the fuck you cards of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's freaking great. And I love it absolutely so much. It's one of my favorite cards. I don't really play it too much, but when I do play it, man, is it a lifesaver? And it's good for keeping your opponent at bay if you use it correctly. It's good for keeping your opponent at bay. Because, man, is it really good. Right, so we're going to come back here.
Alright, which of my monsters are you planning to fuse? Makoto looked his opponent dead in the eye before responding, all of them, before slamming 5-headed dragon onto the field. He watched his opponent's expression drop to match his jaw that looked like it was about to hit the floor. 5-headed dragon is a fusion monster that requires 5 dragon-type monsters in order to summon it, which just happened to be the exact amount of monsters on his opponent's field. His opponent's gaze of astonishment quickly changed to one of rage as he got up from his chair and yelled, "Who the actual fuck plays that as a super poly target?" Before going on a massive screeching ramble about how lucky Makoto was that he'd messed up his combo on the previous turn and
because you got rid of the... Now, Red Archfiend, I don't know what his shit is, so, or his effects are, so I can't really speak on that because I don't play Red Archfiend. I play a Blue Eyes deck. But yeah, getting rid of Heretic was a very, very ace play that kid did. And the fact that the one that he's talking about now is like 30? Bro, grow the fuck up. It's a game it's a game, and the kid played it the way it was meant to be played.
left an extra dragon on the field that normally wouldn't be there, before calling Makoto a whole bunch of names that I can't repeat if I want to keep this video monetized. After hearing all the commotion, of course, the judge of the event quickly rushed on over to the table. "Dude, calm down. If you don't settle down, I'm going to have to kick you." Before the judge could even finish his sentence, his opponent had done a full 180 and immediately socked the judge right in the nose, while screaming, "And fuck you too." Now, after hitting the judge, it must have hit him what he'd just done, as he just immediately picked up his cards and belted it out of the store, not even bothering to pick up his playmat.
Yeah. So Yu-Gi-Oh turned WWE, Yu-Gi-Oh tournament turned WWE. Who's the Undertaker in this situation? I think it's the guy who socked the judge is the Undertaker in this situation. But except the thing about it is he's probably not, considering he ran. So he's probably Randy Orton in this sort of sense, because Randy Orton has had a huge running away from the Undertaker, like way back in the Attitude Era, when him and his father Bob Orton was. You guys don't care about that. I'm gonna shut up.
After the event concluded, the store owner contacted the police and the judge pressed charges.
Let's just say it's bad to punch anyone ever, really, because it could always resort in someone getting charges pressed on them and going to jail.
Whether or not anything came from that,
Or
Makoto doesn't
assault.
know, as he never heard about or came across the guy again. But since the guy never came back, Makoto did end up getting to keep the playmat the guy left behind, which he's kept to this very day and sent me a picture of to show in the video. And that is going to mark the end of today's tale. Thank you so much, Makoto, for sharing your story.
But yeah, so like I said, I know nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'm slowly learning Yu-Gi-Oh. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys do end up watching this, I might still be streaming over on Twitch. Come join me over on Twitch and watch and hang out and talk with me while I play 7 Days to Die. Because I haven't played that game in a long time, and I'm eager to see what changes, if any, if they made the game any better or not. Remember, this video was sponsored by my merch store. So go check out my merch store, get yourself something nice, and I do have a Discord and a Twitch. I am also streaming on Kick yet again. So there's that too. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you. The link to this will be in the description below. Bye-bye!